Hello and welcome to Default Assault, where we take on everything by default. And on numerous occasions, we have taken Indiana Jones himself by default. I love the first three films, and I'm really happy that my complete Blu-ray collection came with an additional coaster I could use.
Yeah, I'm happy with all three. You say the first three films. It's not like they're making another one, Demos. Don't be stupid.
Well, no, they're making another one. And it was originally due out next year with Harrison Ford back as the man himself.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, I feel confident they won't do anything stupid involving aliens or anything like that. So that's the good news.
What makes you feel confident about Indiana Jones 5?
What do you mean 5? There's only 3 movies.
And a coaster. 3 movies and a coaster.
Worst sitcom ever. No, honestly, I make all these jokes. Listen, I ain't getting out the house for number 5, man. I ain't doing it. At this point, they're gonna have to show me something pretty damn compelling for me to show up for number 5. Let's be clear. Hey, look, free heroin on the street corner. Demos is helpless. Okay, I get that. Me, I'm more of a casual user.
I'm not a heroin addict, FYI, to all those viewers out there.
You're not a heroin addict. You're a Harrison addict.
I can sign off on that. But let's
plead. How do you plead?
I think that for a majority of people, the Indiana Jones has the inverse of the Star Trek dynamic. With Star Trek, at least the first 10 films, arguably so, the even ones were always considered the best films. Nemesis notwithstanding. With Indiana Jones, it seems that the odd numbers have been in favor. You have Raiders and Last Crusade. Last Crusade, which in itself was touted to be an overcorrection from Temple of Doom. And I think a lot of fans, even though I love Temple of Doom personally, but I think a lot of fans had high hopes for the 5th one in order to make the correction for the misstep that was said coaster. And okay, we had Steven Spielberg back on board. We were waiting for him to finish remaking West Side Story. We've been waiting for many years. I mean, think about it. People were making old jokes about Harrison Ford back in 2008 when said coaster came out. At this point, I understand. I understand why people might feel he's too old for it. I don't care. I'm back in the saddle. However, today some news dropped, which threw me off the saddle. Exclusive from Variety. Steven Spielberg won't direct Indiana Jones 5. James Mangold in talks to replace. After a long development process, Steven Spielberg is handing the directing reins on Indiana Jones 5 to another filmmaker for the first time in the franchise's 39-year history. Sources say, while a deal hasn't closed, Ford vs. Ferrari director James Mangold is in talks to take the job. Mangold has been put in this situation before when he took over the Wolverine franchise. 2017's Logan was a blockbuster, grossing $619 million globally and earning Mangold an Oscar nomination for adapted screenplay. Now back to Spielberg. Spielberg will remain as a hands-on producer in Indy 5. According to a source close to the filmmaker, the decision to leave the director's chair was entirely Spielberg's, in a desire to pass along Indy's whip to a new generation to bring their perspective to the story. Yeah, that sounds like Hollywood spin if I've ever heard one.
Maybe. I'll say this. I obviously know nothing for self. I'm no Hollywood insider, but if you look at it optimistically, especially if you're one Demosthenes Euclid, host and CEO of Hilarity by Default Assault, this, if successful, is the kind of thing that could take Indiana Jones and make him into James Bond, in that he can last for the same amount of time. Here's the problem in this movie. Pretty sure Indy's gonna die. I'm just gonna call it right now.
Spielberg had said before that under his watch, they wouldn't kill off Indy, and Harrison Ford himself said that he doesn't want anybody else taking on that role after he departs. I don't know how much call he says in that. If anything, if it is a passing of the torch, it'll be to a colleague or an aspiring archaeologist. James Mangold, I understand why many are going to be making, or if they haven't already, making the Logan comparison. This is going to be Old Man Indy on One Last Adventure, which could connect to your theory that they're going to kill him off. Mangold is kind of the natural choice, although the article says that he took over for Logan, which isn't necessarily true. Mangold directed 2 of the 3 Wolverine films. Yes, the 2 that people actually still care about. Not the first one, Origins. Gosh. I'll be honest, one of my biggest issues with Crystal Skull, said coaster, is that it felt, unlike the previous Indiana Jones films, it felt like a family film. It really did. It's kind of funny to consider the fact that the 2 most family-friendly Indiana Jones films are the PG-13 ones, with the 2 dark, crazy ones are the PG films. Yes, I understand Temple of Doom inspired the PG-13 rating, but nevertheless, I still find that comparison funny. But nevertheless, Crystal Skull was very much a family film. I mean, Indy didn't even shoot his gun in the film. They went out of their way to show that a monkey thrown out of a car swings to his own rescue. Having some new blood in the franchise isn't necessarily a bad thing if they return to his grittier roots. But then, once again, if you're returning to the more grittier roots, it makes it much more of a challenge. You have old Indy, and I don't necessarily want to see an Indiana Jones film where Indiana Jones is just sitting back while a young'un is running around doing the action. That was one of my biggest issues already with Crystal Skull.
Right.
I don't necessarily, and this is based on no information, we don't necessarily know why Spielberg left. We don't know exactly what's going on. Disney, as of yesterday, when we were recording this the day before we release this, they just Bob Iger dropped out of the position as CEO out of the blue. Kathleen Kennedy, if you were to believe the rumors on the internet, is losing a lot of favor with Disney because of the Star Wars debacle.
Can't imagine why. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
Well, I'm glad you bring up the Star Wars debacle here, because in this case, the director adjustment may actually just be that, like, listen, I'm old, I'm over this ish, whatever. But what I'm also the reason why I'm buying that is simply because Spielberg's keeping his hands on it. But if there's going to be a guy who replaces it, Mangold makes sense, and not already for the comparisons that you're talking about. If he does a similar type job with Indiana Jones that he did with Logan, you know for a fact that he's going to be at least somewhat familiar with the source material. It's not going to be like James Cameron. Am I getting that right? No, not James Cameron. Damn it, I don't believe I'm blowing this right.
James Cameron is a great director, but I wouldn't want him anywhere near Indy.
No. I don't mean James Cameron. I got the wrong name. Who did Transformers and Ninja Turtles?
Michael Bay.
Michael Bay, thank you.
Well, he only produced Ninja Turtles, but I'm with you.
Yeah, like him just doing it with no love or respect for the source material. He just goes in being like, it's a bunch of toy robots, let's do this.
Which is funny because Transformers was a produced film by Steven Spielberg. I see what you're saying. I don't necessarily have trust in Spielberg just having hands-on because, let me use just one example. He was hands-on for Jurassic Park 3. He didn't direct it, but he was still the producer. And well, look how well that turned out.
Yeah, but...
and Joe Johnston, who directed it, is also a very good director.
No, and I'm not arguing any of that. I think I'm more kind of doing this from the point of view of Mangold being a positive. Now, if your comeback is that Spielberg may swallow him, okay, but
James Mangold is an inspired choice. I will say, I have enjoyed most of his films. I really digged Ford vs. Ferrari. And he's able, through that film, he was able to show that he can handle a period piece very well.
Okay, which could argue Indy certainly is.
It will have to be. I mean, it's probably going to take place in the 1960s. And he seems to have enough respect for the source material of projects that he's worked on to actually deliver something that's very good. I still think that my biggest fear with all this is I don't want to see contemporary politics woven into Indiana Jones.
Good luck.
And I thought that maybe Spielberg might be a barrier to that. And right now, with all this, I'm starting to get the feeling that this is going to be a juggle of a production.
You know, your fears are made legitimate. I mean, we talked at length about how Captain Marvel stole from itself by trying to be political, you know, and I just picked that example off the top of my head, you know.
Based on this news, has your estimation of Indy 5 changed in any way, up, down, or the same?
No, man, I got to tell you, that's big news. It's newsworthy, and I can see why it affects you, a Harrison pothead.
I mean, have you seen him in interviews? So
I have. He's so great in interviews. You know why? It's because he has a Puff the Magic Dragon toy that he uses as a luck charm, right? You know, it's about this magic.
That's what he's after in Indiana Jones 5.
Jesus. Anyways, no.
Indiana Jones and the Lost Dragon.
Oh, Jesus. That's really not a bad title.
No. I just don't want to see this turn into Mummy 3, another similar style franchise which switched directors for its third one and didn't turn out very well.
Yeah, no, listen, there's risk. But
again, Mummy 2 wasn't good either, but anyway.
I don't think it was that bad, but it was certainly not as good as the first one.
He outruns the sun at the end.
Yeah, I know, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? No, but here's the thing. And for me, you asked the question very directly, does this change your opinion of the movie? No. I already told you why, though. I wasn't going to see this anyway. Then you take away a Spielberg and that portion of his contribution from the director's chair. Yeah, that's going to increase it? No, stop it. So, no, listen. I'm still going to check it out because for all the trash I talk about your heroin, spelled with an Harr, for your heroin addiction, as in Harrison Ford. I know you're going to the theater, but me, I'm more of a functional addict. I'm at least going to wait till I can see it in the comfort of my home.
Man, the side effects are insane. They just make you gruffer, angrier, and makes you point with your finger a lot.
That's not the side effects, Demos. I don't do this.
Don't tell me about the side effects. Anyway,
you find the side effect.
I think I'm going to sum it up like this, using a quote from Harrison Ford properties such as Star Wars and Indiana Jones. I have a bad feeling about this.
Thoroughly appropriate.
At the end of the day, the fact that they've pushed this film out so long to get Spielberg available, and then for him to back off when they were saying that it was the production of the film was going to start in 2-3 months. Knowing that history and seeing where this is going, it doesn't give me a bad feeling. It does give me a bad feeling, but I will say that James Mangold is an interesting choice. So my expectations have intensely lowered, but let's see what happens. I'll say positive. I'm still hoping for some fortune and glory.
Lowered expectations.
I do not want that to become our theme song.
Well, yeah.